Good afternoon. This is lesson 79, and it is finding equivalent fractions. That's just the fancy way of saying equal. Finding equivalent fractions by multiplying. Long title for an easy lesson. By multiplying by 1. Sorry about that. Finding equivalent fractions by multiplying by 1. Now, like I said, huge title for a very, very easy lesson that we have already actually learned. So, lesson 79, finding equivalent fractions by multiplying by 1. Now again, we have already done this lesson. We've talked about it, so I'm going to move pretty quickly through it just so that you have it down in your notes again. So, the finding equivalent fractions. So that means any fraction that I take, and we'll put down 1/2 since that's a nice easy one. If I multiply it by 1, I will get an equivalent fraction. Now, the first thing that you should remember, and this should look familiar if I say Clark Kent and Superman, the first thing you should remember is our little phone booth. Any fraction can be made an equivalent fraction by multiplying by 1, and our 1 is any number over itself. So I can pick any number in the world. Today, let's just pick an easy one and say 3. So 3 over 3 equals 1. You've got to remember the number over itself equals 1. Now at this point, I'm writing the little phone booth in. Once you start doing it, today I want you to write in your little phone booth. After that, you can just give me a fraction, or you can give me the phone booth. But you've got to remember, it's always equal to 1. So then, again, you know when we multiply fractions, you go 1 times 3 is 3, 2 times 3 is 6, and so 1/2 is equivalent to 3/6, meaning they are the exact same value. Now, there again, if I were to say 1/2 times a fraction equal to 1 equals an equivalent fraction. If we picked any other number like 7 over 7, well, 1 times 7 equals 7, 2 times 7 equals 14, 1/2 is an equivalent fraction to 7/14. Remember, Clark Kent walks in to the phone booth of 1 and walks out as Superman, and you are multiplying by a fraction that equals 1, which means we're multiplying by 1. That is it. That's our whole lesson. I said really easy because we've already done it. Let's do a couple practice problems together just to make sure we're all on the same page. Now, sometimes what your book is going to do is they're going to make you figure out what your fraction of 1 is. So, for example, the first one in the book is 3/4 times what fraction of 1 equals 9/12. Well, go ahead and write it down and put your fraction on your own. Remember, still putting in star, still use your shape of 1 just as a reminder, equals, and again, filling in your 1, and hopefully without too much thought, you have that. Now, sometimes what your book is going to ask you to do is to figure it out with only part of your fractions visible. So they may say 1/3 equals so many ninths. Well, in this case, you're having to figure out both your fraction equivalent of 1 and what's going to be right up here. Well, remember, what you do to the bottom, hopefully you said in your head without thinking, do to the top. So I know 3 times what is going to give me 9. Oops. 3 times 3 is going to give you 9. So then I know automatically what goes up here, which means 1 times 3 is 3. All right, try the next one of that pattern completely on your own, which is, let's do 2/3 equals how many 15ths? Again, make sure you write in your one today. And remember, you're finding for that also. Hopefully, you didn't even really have to think about it too much. 5/5, and it would be 10. So again, remember a couple things. When you get a fraction equal to 1, it's the same number on the top and the bottom. Second thing is, what you would do to the bottom, you do to the top as far as making it the same when you're multiplying down here. What you do to the bottom, you do to the top. So you know that that's what you do for those two. And with these, all 4 of them, all you do is multiply straight across, and you have found a fraction, equivalent fraction, beginning of the problem and end of the problem. Well, quick and easy for today. Hopefully a good reminder, and have a wonderful evening.